Hello and welcome to the Gentle Parenting Path. I'm Emma and this is a podcast all about gentle parenting hosted by the Wildflower Path. Today we're doing a proper deep dive into the most asked question ever, which is, what is gentle parenting? If you've seen it on Instagram or TikTok, heard the myths, felt confused about where to start, this is the episode for you. We're going beyond the buzzwords. This is what gentle parenting actually looks like, how it works, and why so many of us are choosing to do it, even though we weren't raised this way. Now, I will caveat by saying if I sound like there's a bit of breeze or you see my hair flowing, I'm filming this. It's very, very hot. So I have fans on me. Hopefully my microphone will stop me sounding like I am at the beach on a windy day. So what is gentle parenting? Well, let's break this into bite-sized bits. So it's a mindset. It's not a method. There's not going to be a book that gives you step-by-step instructions for every second of your life. It's not like, Gina Ford or something like that, where she gives you routines and every second of every day is accounted for. That's not what's going to be happening in gentle parenting. It's a mindset that's based on connection, respect, and emotional regulation. It focuses on guidance and the true meaning of discipline, which is to teach, rather than control. It's not a authoritarian style of parenting or a permissive style of parenting. It's authoritative, which means leadership. It prioritizes your relationship with the child over obedience. We talk about, something that we talk about in our house is I don't think obedience is safe. A child just blindly doing what a adult tells them to do, I feel like it can be a safeguarding risk. It also teaches long-term skills like empathy, self-regulation, and problem solving. So some example phrases: gentle parenting, they explain gentle parenting are, gentle parenting is, I'm still the leader, but I don't have to be loud or scary to be heard. And the other thing is, gentle parenting is not about being calm 100% of the time. It's about repairing when we mess up. Someone I know is at university, and one of the things that she's studying as part of her degree is attachment theory. And it used to think that attachment and good parenting meant that 75% of the time you were an amazing parent, you got it right, and 25% of the time you messed up and then fixed it. And that's what good parenting looked like. But actually, the evidence now suggests it's the other way around. It's 25% good enough parenting, like doing a good job and getting it right, and 75% messing up, but then fixing it. The difficulties in attachment come when we're messing up and we're not trying to fix it. That's the key difference. But when we make a mistake, we own our mistake and apologize. And in doing this, we teach our children to model that behavior when they go out into the world. So what is gentle parenting not? Well, if you've watched any of my social media, I've been busting some myths, like little tiny snippets here and there. But we're going to spend a few minutes talking about each myth that has kind of come up on my social media research. And oh my God, some of the things that I've seen have just actually made me really cross, because this is something I've been passionate about since my youngest child was very small, maybe about 18 months to 2 years is when I realized, hang on a second, all of this stuff that people keep telling me to do, it's absolute rubbish. It's not working for my son. And I realized it was just before my daughter was born. So we're talking like 12 years ago. But I was like, something's not right here. So these myths have really frustrated me, and I just wanted to share them with you. So number one, permissive, that it's not permissive parenting. That gentle parenting means that the child can just do whatever they want. There's skits of gentle parents, I did inverted commas if you're watching audio, that little Bobby is punching this little girl, and the mother goes, oh darling, will you come here? Can you stop hitting that little girl? And he goes, no, I don't want to. And she turns to the other parent and says, oh, I'm sorry, little Bobby doesn't want to, so I can't do anything about it. Like, that's not gentle parenting. But gentle parenting still holds boundaries. It's I'm not going to let little Bobby hit that little girl. I am going to deal with that. I'm going to actively parent this situation. I'm not going to let that happen because that's not okay. But what we don't need to do is we don't need to yell, we don't need to shame the child, and we don't need to punish them. I was actually thinking about this as I was planning this episode, going, I don't remember a time when I punished my children. I've been trying to look back and think, and I was talking to my husband about it, and I just can't. I even asked my children, I was like, have I ever punished you? And they were like, well, what's a punishment? And I said, and they went, well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I don't know. They have no recollection of me ever doing it. But everywhere we go, people say, oh my gosh, your children are so well behaved, they're so polite, they're so caring. And I'm like, oh, funny that, isn't it? So another thing that gentle parenting is not, it's not weak. I cannot tell you how much strength it takes on days for me to hold space for my children's very big emotions without, having my own meltdown. Bearing in mind, in this particular house, we are a ADHD family. So we are a mix of autistic and ADHD individuals. Some of us are both. I wouldn't be surprised if we're all both, to be honest. So we can have quite big emotions in our house. But even if you're a neurotypical household and you're watching this, there are big emotions too. Things happen. People have bad days. You give a toddler a pink cup instead of a blue one. Big emotions happen. And it's about holding space for that child without, screaming back at them. And I appreciate, having had 3 children, that it's really, really difficult to do that sometimes. And you're just like, I want to scream too. And believe me, there have been days when that is exactly what has happened. When my children were very small, I had 3 who were 5 and under, and they were at home all the time. They were at preschool a little bit, but not really very much. Maybe a day a week, I think they went. And it was tiring. And there were days when I completely failed at being a gentle parent. And when they screamed, I screamed too, just because I was exhausted and overwhelmed. But the more I practiced gentle parenting, the more I was able and capable to hold space for those emotions, not only their emotions, but my emotions as well. So, and that brings me on to my next myth, which very, very neatly packaged there. It's not perfect. I mess up, I snap, I grumble, I shout, I say things I regret. Sometimes I swear, and my kids are like, I beg your pardon. But the difference is I fix it. I can remember this time very recently, actually. It was around a hard anniversary day in my life, not really anything to do with the children or anything, they're not aware of it. But I had spent the day before. So technically the anniversary was the day before this happened. And I'd spent that day kind of just shoving down my emotions, not regulating them, not dealing with them in any way, not doing the things that I know help me cope with those hard days. And then the next day I was awful. I have promised myself I'm not going to swear on this podcast because I want you to be able to listen to it around your children. I know not everyone can stick earpods in, what they called earbuds thingies, what they called headphones. That's fine. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm not going to swear, but I was not okay. I was not being very nice to people, and I ended up managed to hold space for my middle child, my daughter, and my youngest son, and they were being it was a particularly difficult day. They were having some particularly big feelings, probably in hindsight because I was having some big feelings and they knew that something was off, the vibe wasn't right, but they didn't know what it was. And then my eldest, who's 13, came into the room and asked me, gave me basically asked me for something. And it just felt like one more demand, and I just exploded. I burst into tears. I shouted. I was like, no one ever gives me a moment on my own. And it was not a great moment. And I really, really, really upset my 13-year-old, my lovely son. He's very sensitive and very sweet. And he was so sad that I was sad. And 2, I'd scared him. Oh, I'm not going to cry. I might cry on these podcasts. You never know. I am a crier. But I scared him. And I felt so bad. And as soon as it happened, I felt so bad. And I just wanted to fix it, but I didn't know. I was like, I've run out. The toolbox is empty. Everything's rusted. But I decided to take a deep breath, and I had a drink, went to the toilet, like took care of my physical needs. And then I went to find him, and he was sat under his desk. He's autistic. He had made himself a nest, and it just hit me, that mum guilt. Like, I am still messing up. Like, I've been gentle parenting like 11 years, and I'm still messing it up. I'm still not getting it right. And I was like, the difference between me and the way I was raised is that I apologize and I admit that I'm wrong. And I'm very humble about that. So I got down on my hands and knees and I curled up under the desk with him after I'd asked his consent. Can I join you? He said yes. And I told him what the day before was, why it had been so hard, how I felt, what I did wrong in that day. Like, this is what I should have done. I should have taken a day. I should have got a babysitter. I should have gone for a walk. I should have had a bath. I should have done all of the things that make me feel better when I'm stressed. I didn't do those things. That was wrong. And I knew that I should have been doing those things, and I ignored my inner voice. And I'm really sorry. And I explained today, my emotions got the best of me. They controlled me, not the other way around. And you were in the firing line about that. Nothing that came out of my mouth was about you. You've done nothing wrong. And I explained. I won't go into detail because it's very personal, but what the anniversary was. But he understood. He understands what, he knows about the details of why that day was hard for me. And we just sat there, and I just held him. I held him in my arms, and he curled up into my lap. And he's the same height as me, so it was. Actually, I think he's taller than me now. I just held him in my arms, and I apologized, and I just kept kissing him on the head and stroking his hair and saying, "I'm so sorry." And he said, "It's okay. I understand." And I said, "You can understand, absolutely, but it's not okay. Nothing about what just happened was okay. I really, really messed up." And he said, "Okay, I won't say it's okay because it really didn't feel nice, but I do understand." And he said, he really appreciated my apology. We went and we made a hot chocolate. We made a hot chocolate and we drank it together, and we just hung out together a little bit, watching silly videos on TikTok. And it went from being this really horrible parenting moment to being this amazing communication experience where I shared what was in my heart, what was bothering me in an age-appropriate way for him, but for him to understand that, like, I'm not perfect, that there's no point putting me up on a pedestal and being like, "Oh, Mama's so amazing." Because Mama, yeah, okay, Mama's amazing to you, but I am not this, goddess-like creature. I'm just a woman. I'm just a woman. And I mess up all the time. And I have friends who watch me parent, and they say, "Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. I couldn't do that." I'm like, well, yeah, you could. You can do that. We can all do this. We just have to create the space to do that. And I'm not. Don't put me on a pedestal because I'm not worthy of that. I mess up. I mess up too. So it's not for easy kids or for hippie families or anything like that. I see this thing on social media. It's seen on TikTok. Gentle parenting is for gentle kids. Like, children, they learn what they live, and then they live what they learn. I'm checking my phone because when I filmed earlier, it died, and I cried. So it's fine. The green light's still there. Children learn what they live, and then they live what they learn. So if your kids aren't gentle, it is not because they don't have the capacity to be. They are. Yes, there's nature, but there's a hell of a lot of nurture in there. And I think we really need to take a look at ourselves and go, "Oh, that's me, isn't it? I am not I am not showing up in this way. So I'm not showing up in this way, so it's not happening. So this is the bit, I'm just checking my mic's on because that's important. I can see a little green light. All good. This is the bit where in future episodes there will be a little ad break, and I will tell you about something, a cool product that I like a lot. They may be paying me. It may be an affiliate link. But if you know me from other social media platforms, you will know that I do not advertise anything I don't use in real life. So I've worked with lots of brands over the years, and my integrity is very important to me. You could offer me £10,000. If I didn't like your product, I wouldn't promote it. And we are not super well off, so £10,000 would be life-changing, but I'd say no thank you. So yeah, I've got some brands in the pipeline who would like to be in this segment. So pretend I just told you something really, really cool about a product and you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I want to use a discount code. Okay, just pretend that happened. So let's talk about why gentle parenting actually works. Not just emotionally, but developmentally, neurologically, and relationally. You see me looking down, it's to make sure my mic's still on because I just filmed a big chunk of this and it wasn't on. It's really annoying. It's the second time that's happened to me today. So kids aren't mini adults. Their brains are still developing, especially the part responsible for impulse control, emotional regulation, and long-term decision-making. That means when your child is having a meltdown, especially if you've got neurodivergency in there as well, they're not being manipulative. They're not trying to just get what they want. Their nervous system is literally going, ah, at the top of their lungs. They're dysregulated. And in those moments, yelling, punishing, or withdrawing love doesn't teach emotional safety. It's not teaching them any skills for the future. It's just handling it in the second. And it just makes everyone feel rubbish. Gentle parenting works because it prioritizes connection. If you think about maybe you have a partner or just other adults in your life, if you made a mistake, would you want them to yell at you? Would you want them to say, no, I'm not going to give you a hug, goodbye, because you did that, I'm going? Is that okay? I know that if, this happened in my marriage, for example, my husband yelled at me and then he said, right, you can't go out with your friend now because you, I don't know, broke the dishwasher by accident. It can happen. I load it awfully. And then he said, I'm not going to give you a hug and kiss goodnight. I'd be devastated. I would absolutely be devastated. Like something that was a mistake that I couldn't control resulted in being shouted at, being told that I couldn't do something that I love doing, and being told that I won't get any affection anymore. Like naughty step kind of situation. You know, you have to sit there away from everyone else. You don't get any love until you've said sorry. Like that would be devastating to me. And my brain is 34 years old. If it's going to be devastating to me, to a 3-year-old who literally has no comprehension of any of this, it's going to be even more devastating. That's why they get so upset. Gentle parenting works because it prioritizes connection. When kids feel safe, seen and supported, they can actually learn from their mistakes. We're not ignoring the behavior. If little Bobby smacks little Sadie in the park, as a gentle parent, I'm not going to allow that to continue. I'm going to remove the child from the situation and I'm going to deal with it. But I don't need to make Bobby feel awful. I don't need to shame him. I don't need to do anything mean or nasty because that's not what we're trying to teach. We don't want our children we don't want to teach our children when someone's mean to you, you're mean back, because it's not helpful, is it? And long term, well, it creates emotionally intelligent, secure and compassionate humans. And if you have a young child and you're saying, yeah, right, Emma, everywhere I go, people say, the child in my house who's been gentle parented the longest is my 13-year-old. Everywhere we go, and even my 11-year-old, who's an 8-year-old who's been gentle parented since birth, everywhere they go, people say how emotionally intelligent, how compassionate, how kind they are. So, the evidence, the proof is in the pudding. My children would be, I don't know, what's my favourite pudding in the whole world? Sticky toffee pudding with ice cream. That's what my children would be. So what does it look like in real life? What does gentle parenting actually look like? Well, I'm going to caveat this by saying I don't live in a Pinterest perfect home. Right now I'm sat on my bed with a blanket behind me. You know, it's not perfect. I have 3 kids. They are tweens and a teen. I'm neurodivergent. My husband's neurodivergent. My kids are all neurodivergent. ADHD, autism, dysgraphia, like we're chock full of it, to use a phrase that someone said to me recently, like, if there was a prize for most neurodivergent people in a household, we'd get a medal, I'm pretty sure. We home educate. We have pets. We've got 2 dogs, 2 cats, 3 guinea pigs. No partridge in the pear tree, but we also have 2 horses. Life is loud, it's busy, it's full. Sometimes, like, do I have time in the grand scheme of things to sit down and have a big long chat about stuff? No, not really. Would it be easier to just say, "Oi, pack it in," and not actually connect with them in any way? Yes, absolutely. Do I? No, I don't. And sometimes if I do react like that instead, I then go, "Hang on a second, I did that wrong. Let me try again," and I fix it. And I'm like, "No, let's have a chat." So how does gentle parenting show up in my day-to-day? Well, when a child hits their sibling, for example, and if you know me in real life, you know who I'm talking about, I don't shout. And I say I don't shout. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm really dysregulated and I will. And then I'm like, ugh, that wasn't good. Let's do over, and I'll go and connect with them. The first thing I would do is physically remove my child who's done the hitting, and I will immediately check in with the child who's been hurt. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm so sorry this happened to you. The child who has done the hitting, it's probably not done it just because they don't like their sibling. That's at least not in my house. But they've done it because they're dysregulated, or because they're hurt, or they're sad. So they need to see me showing empathy. So I'm immediately going to do that. And I'm going to say, I'm going to sort this out now, and then I'm going to come and speak to you in a moment. And I was like, so I'm going to take them, I will either move the child who's done the hitting away. If I can't, I will ask the other child to just go into another room, just to keep themselves safe. I will physically hold on to the child who's doing hitting, so they cannot go and retaliate, go and do more, because sometimes that happens. I will hold that limit, and I will say, I will not let you hurt your sibling. Obviously, I'll say brother or sister. And I give them some options. You can have a cuddle. We can put some music on. We can hold a toy. I do let them, if they want to punch a pillow or scream into a pillow, sometimes that works too. I'm one who has, picked up a pillow and beat it with my fists once or twice, and I've been very dysregulated. I don't think that is necessarily an issue if you need to get it out in that moment. Sometimes you just have a lot of energy, negative energy inside you need to get out. And then I would say, let's just take some breaths. So if they're very upset and crying, sometimes that happens in a meltdown, I'm going to help them calm down first. And then we're going to have a conversation about it. I am going to be curious. This is more therapeutic parenting than gentle parenting, but it all fits together. I'm going to say things like, I wonder if you felt. I wonder if this happened. I'm not going to say, I know what happened. I'm not going to pretend to know how they felt, but I'm going to use, educated guesses, knowing my children very well, what might have happened. I wonder if you're tired. I wonder if you're feeling hungry. I wonder if you felt something was unfair, and so on. My children don't tend to hit for no reason. It's not usually ever a reason to hit, in my opinion, but they don't just hit out of the blue. So that's one example. Once the child has calmed down, both children have calmed down, I like to give them an opportunity to repair that. We have a big policy in our household of how we apologize. We have like a script of how we apologize, which is helpful for autistic people. And the other thing is, our rule is that the other person does not have to accept your apology. They do have to be graceful in acknowledging your apology, I think is the word I'm looking for, but they don't have to forgive you right away. That's forgiveness is theirs to give or not, but they do have to acknowledge that that you've apologized. So something that maybe between my boys, for example, might happen. It might be something like, I appreciate that you've apologized, and I see that you're sorry, but I'm not ready to forgive you right now. And then things will happen like siblings do. People will feel better, and then we'll be, do you forgive me now? Yeah, I forgive you. And then it's fine. And I feel like that's it. To me, it feels really emotionally safe that this is happening. And I'm like, oh, yes, folks, you're doing a good job. So another example, and we'll get into this later on. This is an episode that's coming up. But when someone lies, I don't lecture. The burden of a lie on a child is so uncomfortable. Being scared of what happens if they're found out, just like that disequilibrium of being, in that state is more consequence than I need to give them. And that's something that I found as soon as I stopped making a big deal about it, it happened less and less. And now when it happens, I just say, there's a bit of a fake-in going on, but I say, I know what happened. All I want is for you to come and talk to me about it. You know that the worst thing that ever happens is that we have a conversation and we agree on a way to make this right. An example of this recently was I had half a chocolate bar in the fridge and I went to use it for baking and only one piece was left. And I was like, was I cross? Absolutely. Like, I was like, so annoyed because I planned to make chocolate chip cookies for the kids with it. And one of the kids, and I know it's one of the kids because it was dairy-free chocolate, my husband would not have eaten it. And I had not eaten it. Was I annoyed? Yes. Did I go inside my mind? Yes, absolutely. Did I then transfer that to my children? Absolutely not. I went downstairs, had a conversation with all the three kids were together, and I said, this is what's happened. I know what's happened. All I'm asking is that you, at some point today, come up and have a chat with me about it. The worst that's going to happen is we're going to try and work out a way to fix it together. My feelings have been hurt. But I know that whoever did it is feeling that weight of this sneaking on their shoulders right now. It must be so uncomfortable. So I would love to unburden you and help you through that. Within 5 minutes, the child who had taken the chocolate came upstairs and said, Mama, I'm really sorry I ate the chocolate. I just had this hankering for sugar and I didn't think you would say yes, so I just ate it. And I gave them a hug and I said, I really, really appreciate you coming to tell me that. It must have been really, really hard to have that hanging over your head. Do you feel better now? Yes, I feel better now. And so then I explained how I felt. When people take my things, this is called non-violent communication. Again, we've got another episode of that coming up. When people take my things, it makes me feel sad. I need you to try and ask me when you want to have something of mine in the future. Can you do that for me? Yes, Mama. I'm really sorry that I ate your chocolate. I hope you can forgive me. Would you like a hug and a kiss? Yes, I would love a hug and a kiss. And yes, I forgive you. That felt so, so good. Like both of us were buzzing. Has it happened since? No. Did the child in question come to me today and say, Mama, I'm having a sugar craving. How can you help me? And we agreed that she would have some honey on some bread. Sorted. Parenting win. My stuff didn't get stolen. We had an honest conversation and it just felt so good. But in these situations, like I'm not perfect, but I mess up. And the situation, like I said earlier in the episode where with my eldest son, when I mess up, and it does happen reasonably regularly, I mess up and I go to them and I'm humble and I say, I am really sorry I shouted. I'm really sorry I did this. I'm really sorry I did that. It wasn't fair on you. I'm going to work on that. This is what I'm going to do. I was emotionally dysregulated, so I know that I need to have a bath, go for a walk, talk to a friend, have a hug with your dad. And there's something healing in that for me, to be able to not do the things that my mother did when I'm dysregulated. When she was dysregulated, she would hit. She was an adult who was physically abusive. not just to me. There's something super healing to be an adult that only also, keeps their hands to themselves, but also goes to their child humble and says, I really, really messed this up. Please forgive me. Like, it feels really, really good in the moment. It's cycle breaking, generational curse ending. Like, it's really powerful. And I told you I'd cry. I'm tearful now. It's not soft. It's not soft at all. It takes so much strength. It's not passive. It's not permissive. It's deeply active, intentional parenting that centers respect for both of us. I am saying, I respect you and I expect respect back. I am not just expecting respect. I am earning it, and I'm teaching them how to earn it too. But also that they are just worthy of respect because they're a human being. So why is gentle parenting so hard? Gentle parenting is hard. It is hard. And it's not because it doesn't work, but it's because we were not raised this way. Our default setting inside our brain is not to do it this way. Most of us were raised with control, a level of fear, shame, or even just silence. Just how many people grew up in houses where, we're just not going to talk about it. We were expected to obey and not understood. Some of us would have been, depending on how old you are when you're listening to this, you're going to have been smacked, at least had a smack on the bottom. There was elements of it, like, oh, well, you never did it again, did you? It's like, yeah, because I'm scared out of my flipping mind. Like, what? So when our children cry, shout, or engage with us in conversation, and in my notes it says talk back. Of course they talk back. It's a conversation. I don't like the whole "don't back chat me" thing. Don't even get me started on that. Maybe we'll have another episode about that. I'll add it in. Suddenly, it triggers something deep in us, and suddenly being gentle feels unsafe. But this is why this work is also healing work. We're not just raising our children, we're reparenting ourselves at the same time. And that's powerful. That's really, really powerful. And it's also exhausting. But it's going to be the most worthwhile thing you ever do. It's the most worthwhile thing I've ever done and ever will do. Because when your child turns to you in a meltdown, instead of running from you, that's the fruit of your work. Gentle parenting is hard because it asks us to grow and to break down all those patterns that our parents created when we were children. But it's also all the parenting that you ever deserved, that I ever deserved. So, you have made it to the end of the episode. Thank you for still being here. Like, I appreciate you. You're here because you want to parent with more connection, more intention, and more heart. In upcoming episodes, I'm going to be diving into how to hold boundaries without punishing, what to do when your child lies or hits, and how to repair after you lose your temper. Like, we've got loads, and I'm really excited about getting other parents who are gentle parents on, just to prove to you that we're all human and we all make mistakes. I'm also going to try. I've got some people lined up who are experts in certain fields that are really going to add to the conversation, and I just got to finalize all of that. But I'm super excited. And I'm really glad that you've joined me for this. If this resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment, share it with a friend who's maybe got younger children or just wanting to do something differently. Friends who are expecting, or in any way, whether it's, they're hoping to adopt or they're expecting a baby through pregnancy or anything like that. So I just want to leave you with, you're not failing. You're just finding a new way forward, and it's going to be okay, I promise. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. I'm so honored to walk this path with you. Thank you. Bye.